Hello traders. For this run of Spotlight On, I want to turn the spotlight on the Image 7. The Image 7 are the 7 comic book creators that decided to take fate into their own hands to start the largest indie comics company that the industry has ever seen, and it was at a time when the world told them that it couldn't be done. In 1992, there were no bigger names in not only the comic, but the pop culture community than those that started Image Comics. The Image 7 are Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Jim Valentino, Will Portacio, Mark Silvestri, and Eric Larson. We'll start in part 2 with the impeccable Will Portacio. Today's spotlight on the Image 7, we're going to look at the work of Will Portacio. Known for his work on such titles as The Punisher, X-Factor, Uncanny X-Men, Wetworks, and of course Spawn, Portacio was one of the 7 co-founders of Image Comics. He attended his first comic book convention in San Diego, where after seeing his portfolio, Marvel editor Carl Potts offered him a job inking the 1984 series Alien Legion. He followed up the next year inking the 85 miniseries Longshot. Portacio has some rather large books under his belt, including Spawn 186, the second print, at $115, and of course the black and white Spawn 185 coming in at a whopping $5.5 thousand. Although he's not as well known as the rest of the Image 7, Portacio's deep darks and extremely vibrant highlights had Stan Lee considering him one of the greatest artists of all time. Today's spotlight on the Image 7, we look at Mark Silvestri. Silvestri currently serves as the CEO for Top Cow Productions and Image Comics. He began his career drawing for DC and First Comics and joined Marvel in the late 1980s, becoming the penciler on the Uncanny X-Men from 1987 to 1990. He then spent 2 years on Wolverine. In 1992, Silvestri became one of the original 7 artists to form Image Comics. His stable of titles was published under the imprint Top Cow with the first title, Cyberforce. Highlights of his incredible career are the House of Mystery 292, first interior art, King Conan 13, his first cover, Lady Death No. 1, the hot pink cover valued at $215, also the gold foil stamped Witchblade No. 1 diamond exclusive at $550. Today's spotlight on the Image 7, we look at Eric Larson. Starting his career at Ajax Comics, writing and illustrating graphic fantasy, he debuted his signature character, Savage Dragon. He gained attention in the early 1990s with his art on Spider-Man, replacing Todd McFarlane on The Amazing Spider-Man with issue 329. In 1992, he was one of 7 artists who left Marvel to found Image Comics, where he launched his superhero series, Savage Dragon, one of the longest-running creator-owned superhero comic series of all time. Noted Larson issues are Megaton No. 1, his first published work valued at $35, Megaton No. 3, the first Savage Dragon, a $135 book, and the Amazing Spider-Man No. 1 variant at $180 and its black and white sketch at $260. Today's spotlight on the Image 7, we look at the great Jim Valentino. Valentino is best known for his 1990-92 run on Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel Comics and for co-founding Image Comics, where he introduced the world to his hero Shadowhawk and a groundbreaking black and white autobiographical series, A Touch of Silver. Valentino's contribution at Image was largely behind the scenes as editor, where he discovered The Walking Dead's Kirkman and Bendis. Notable Valentino works include Guardians of the Galaxy No. 1 at $15, Guardians No. 13, which is the first future Ghost Rider, and Noble Causes No. 3, which is the first introduction of Invincible, valued at $70. Valentino also laid the groundwork that brought us The Walking Dead, which is continuously setting benchmarks for indie titles. Today's spotlight on the Image 7, we look at Rob Liefeld. Love him or hate him, Rob Liefeld is one of the greatest comic artists of all time. Rob is known for co-creating the characters Cable and Deadpool for Marvel Comics, and possibly best known for his work on the New Mutants and later X-Force. With the 1992 founding of Image Comics, the first book published by the company was Liefeld's Youngblood #1. Notable books from Liefeld include several high-value keys in the $50 to $150 range, as well as New Mutants number 87, the first Cable, a $175 book, and of course, New Mutants 98, the highly sought-after first appearance of the Merc with a Mouth, Deadpool, which boasted a 9.8 sell of $1,000 on December 11th. In today's Spotlight on the Image 7, we look at Jim Lee. Jim entered the industry in 1987 as an artist for Marvel Comics, working on Alpha Flight, and of course the Punisher War Journal titles, before gaining popularity on the Uncanny X-Men. X-Men #1, the 1991 spin-off series that Lee penciled and co-wrote, remains the best-selling comic book of all time. At Image Comics, Lee published titles such as Wildcats and Gen 13 through his studio Wildstorm Productions. Lee's work includes several minor keys in that $50 to $100 value range, as well as a Justice League 50 1 in 75 variant cover at $200, and of course Batman 608 sitting at $180, and its roundtable variant breaking records at $1.6 thousand. In today's Spotlight on the Image 7, we look at the Todd father, Todd McFarlane. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, McFarlane became the comic book superstar due to his work on Marvel Comics' The Amazing Spider-Man, creating the symbiote Venom for the title. In 1992, he was key in forming Image Comics, pulling the occult anti-hero's character Spawn from his high school portfolio and updating him for the 1990s. McFarlane has too many high-value keys to even start listing, but highlights of his career include Batman issue 423 with its Canadian newsstand at a 9.6 hitting $600, Spawn #1, a rising modern blue chip hitting $1,200 and a 9.8, and his biggest book, the blue chip ASM 300 with a newsstand 9.8 bringing in a whopping $3,500.